joined today by Patrick. He's the CEO of the Dogs Refuge Home in Shenton Park, and he's brought a little friend with him called Gatsby.
That's
Welcome.
right, Alex.
I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us a little bit about Gatsby?
I can. Gatsby's about 8 weeks old now, a little boy. His mum was surrendered to the refuge. So what we do is we rescue a lot of abandoned and neglected dogs, and his mum was heavily pregnant, obviously.
Yep.
And we decided to take him in and do the best we could to save her and rehome her, and also after the birth of the pups. Those pups have all been on foster. They've been out in foster care with a loving family. Now they've been socialised, they've been brought back, and we're trying hard to find homes for them all.
So he's actually up for adoption at the
He
moment?
is. Gatsby's up for adoption, he and 6 other siblings.
Wow, and what breed do you think he is?
Well, I think looking at him, he's got a beautiful temperament. He's so quiet, but I would think probably a little bit of terrier in him.
Yep.
Sometimes we don't know. Mum was a bit of a cross. Mum's name was Goldie, but I think probably a little bit of terrier, and I think he's got a little bit of worry here. I don't think he'll be a big dog. He's going to be a little
small
guy.
Well, he's very gorgeous. So
he's beautiful.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Dogs Home? Like, how long has it been around, and what sort of things does the Dogs Home do?
Probably surprised a lot of people to know that we've been in Shenton Park since 1935.
Wow.
It's a very old organisation.
Yep.
We've been there all that time. We shut for a very, very short time over the war years and then reopened. But we have been rescuing and rehoming abandoned, neglected, abused dogs all that time. Mostly volunteers, but today the organisation has evolved into, a significantly important not-for-profit organisation in the animal welfare sector, and we're the largest organisation taking care of dogs in Western Australia by a very long way.
So how many dogs would you have come through every year?
Gosh, that's a difficult one because the population, it's very flexible. Every week we have about 80 or 90 dogs up for adoption, depending on whether we have pairings in some of the kennels.
Wow.
So that population actually changes. Last year alone, we rehomed nearly 1,050 dogs.
That is incredible.
1,049 to be exact.
Wow.
So many more than that came through, went through our quarantine process. And we've also got a very large army of volunteers who take care of our foster dogs. So a lot of the dogs that don't actually cope very well in the kennel environment, we do our because a lot of them have come from loving environments. They've come from loving homes. They're used to sleeping on a couch or a bed. They don't cope in a kennel. So we try and get them out into loving homes with families and children, and so we've got a lot of dogs out there in the, on hold, a holding pattern, and then we obviously try to rehome those dogs as well.
And you rehome them through the website, like how are they advertised, or how do people find out about them?
Yeah, well, a lot of people know where we are. The website encapsulates a lot of information about the dogs, behaviour about the dogs, where they've come from, a little bit of the history, but a lot to do with temperament and photographs, obviously, and they're categorised into, large, small, medium. We've got a lot of, not a lot, but we do have some slightly older dogs, and a lot of people are looking for dogs.
Yeah, the seniors.
It's just so sad. They do get forgotten. But those dogs are, they're toilet trained, we know their behaviour, they've calmed down, they're beautiful pets, especially companions for slightly older people. We're like a matchmaking service. So we're trying to match up the temperament of the potential adopters to the temperament of the dog in question.
Perfect. And I guess that means too, once they're adopted, there's a greater chance that they're going to stay in that home forever and not be returned because there's some issue with,
you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what we're about, finding forever homes. That's the phrase we've coined, and we want them to stay in that home forever. We don't want them coming back. That's why we make people jump through so many hoops. Well, not so many hoops. It's all done for the right reason, but we really are trying to find exactly the right home for those dogs. We don't want to find the first home, we want to find the best home. So when Gatsby finds a home, we want him to have a wonderful life with a wonderful family, and we want him to stay there permanently. We don't ever want him to have to experience being dumped in a refuge or sold on Gumtree or whatever happens to these dogs. We want him to have a loving home because that's what they all deserve.
It's really important. You mentioned volunteers. So you have foster care, or foster volunteers that do fostering for you. What other things do volunteers do at the home?
We've got volunteers working in our office, answering phones and attending the counter and helping us out there. And we've got a huge army of volunteers, about more than 400 active volunteers.
Wow.
Not every day, but often. Yes, of course. Wow. And we do a lot of dog walking. So these guys are actually looked after almost better than most dogs in a home environment. They're walked on average twice a day, so every morning for a half an hour to 40 minutes. They're taken out, they're walked all around.
So I can just come and walk dogs? That could be my
You do have
job
to do an induction.
Yep.
Of course, that can be your volunteering.
Yep.
You know, and a lot of people, of course, can't have their own dog.
Yeah, that's
so
perfect.
they get their doggy fix by coming down and spending hours.
Yep.
They walk the dogs on lead. We show them how to do that, how to get them out of the kennel and back into the kennel.
Yep.
So there's a lot of training involved, but it's really enjoyable. It's quite social.
Yep.
We, you know, big morning tea on every morning for all the volunteers. I think it's become a wonderful initiative.
That sounds great.
And that way the dogs get out twice a day.
That's perfect.
And they also help enrich their lives while they're with us.
That's really important as well, and they're socialised with different people and that as well.
Oh, absolutely, yep.
So just in closing, I think you've got a few events coming up this year. Just briefly, you've got your big open day, which is early November.
We have.
Yeah, and then Santa Paws, when Houndstooth comes and photographs with Santa.
Your studio comes along. We've got our award-winning wild animal photographer coming along, spending a day with us, helping us to raise funds.
That would be in early December?
We think so at this stage, yeah. It's been programmed in. It'll be early December, and all those details will be on our website.
Brilliant. And your Facebook page
as
well.
On Facebook. So if you're not a friend of the home, jump on Facebook, like us on Facebook, and start getting those feeds.
Awesome, thank you so much. So that's thanks so much to Patrick and Gatsby for being here today from the Dogs Home. For further information, you can go to our website, thecouch.com.au.